What state of mind enables maximum learning? All right, hello everyone out there today. Thanks for coming to my channel. My name is Thomas, and I do educational videos on many different topics. But for the first few months of the channel, I'm going to be focused on developing an understanding toward the tree of life. We're going to be looking at, and we have looked at, many different aspects of the tree of life. Finally, it will total 144 of them. And by going through these different aspects of the tree of life and really solidifying the actual core 12 aspects of the tree of life, we're going to build a foundation so that all the other subjects that I eventually get to will be easily understood and easily assimilable and easily remembered. Because that's how the tree of life works. It's a powerful tool for using as a foundation in your life in order to kind of prioritize yourself, to be able to make better decisions, to be able to recall easily, and just a system of organization so that it inhibits confusion. Many of these topics that I do cover in this class, or that I will be covering in this class, are difficult subjects. They're mostly like the 3 R's subjects and the traditional academic subjects, but they're a different version of them that is quantized. It's a little bit, it requires a little bit of unlearning before you really relearn. And so it can become confusing. But with the tree of life as a foundation, hopefully we'll be able to eliminate a lot of that confusion. Now, here is the model of the tree of life. This is an ancient diagram that goes all the way back to ancient Egypt, if not before. The ancient Hebrews used it, and a lot of the modern occultists use it. Many of them are quite evil, and they use it against you. So it's also good to learn the tree of life in order to defend yourself from the evil ones. Now, the tree of life itself is not evil. Just like any other piece of technology, it's not evil intrinsically. It's a matter of the intent of the user. So if you have good intentions, you can use the tree of life positively. If you have bad intentions, hopefully you will be turning this channel off. So that I don't give you any more ideas. Now, the tree of life has 10 different circles or spheres that are numbered 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, with an implied circle or sphere here called the abyss, and then a 0 above the tree, for a total of 12 different categories. These are the 12 major categories of the tree of life, or you can think of the tree of life as really like a map of our consciousness. And these 12 are really our 12 major aspects of consciousness. Now, that's if we're able to learn those 12 aspects of consciousness, as well as the configuration of the diagram, how they're related together in space, then we have a really good start on the tree of life. Now, the 144 come in when you take the whole tree of life and you shrink it down, and then you apply it to each one of the spheres. So you break down each one of the 12 into its 12. So what you end up with is 144 minor aspects or minor faculties of the tree, what I call the stages of life, consciousness, history, and spirituality. And so those are kind of a more like intermediate or advanced teaching of the tree of life. But if you can get to the point where you can, kind of really understand and grok the original 12 major aspects, then the 144 minor aspects really bring it home, and so you can really understand. So in the first part of the video I go over the 12, and then in the last part of the video I go over one of the 144. So that's why I'm doing 144 separate videos. Each one highlights one of the 144. But before that, we're gonna go through the first 12 major aspects, just to give you the beginner's version. Okay, the 10th sphere is really our survival instinct, our fight or flight, kill or be killed, state of nature, law of the jungle, and our life force that keeps us alive regardless of our consciousness of that. The 9th sphere is really like where the 10th sphere is our wild animal, our 9th sphere is our domesticated animal, and this is really what we get in the home growing up. And these are this is the first few years of our lives typically, but we also can go back here as adults, especially if we're in a position where we really need to learn something. Then we come back into this learning sphere. This is what you would call we are highly receptive, because we're in that state, and we're basically growing up. Everything is fascinating to us because everything's fresh and new, and we are basically paying attention to our caregivers, and we follow what they do, we imitate what they do, and we practice it till we learn it. So that's really the 9th sphere. The problem is that it's basically blind. So a lot of times we pick up abusive habits and generally bad habits from the 9th sphere also. The 8th sphere is similar in that it is not discerning either. It doesn't really, it's blind. It doesn't really tell right from wrong. And this is where the 9th sphere is about the domestic sphere in the home. The 8th sphere is about the public sphere, out in public. Once you go to school, once you go to church, you start hearing from the experts, your teachers and your preachers and your media, the word on the street, all the establishment and the resources are here. They're telling you what they want you to believe, not necessarily what's true, because the 8th sphere is a trickster. So they tell you what is convenient for them, for you to know. And they set your belief systems, and they set your ability to think. So this is really where our logical faculty is located, but many times our logical faculty is inverted, and we start using a lot of the fallacies of logical reasoning, such as circular reasoning, making assumptions, starting with the wrong principles before we start the logical process, starting with the wrong evidence, rationalization, making excuses. These things are all fallacies of the 8th sphere, and they serve to kind of get us caught in the 8th sphere, because we end up thinking that the 8th sphere is all there is. This is the measure of success, because this is where all the resources are. This is where you have to go to gain success. This is where all the best schools are, and all the best jobs, and all the high status, all the money. And so we kind of see this as our goal in life. And we also see this as the consensus. They put it up as if everybody knows that, when actually there is a lot more questioning than that. Not everybody does know that, but they make it seem that way, and so they almost kind of coerce you into believing certain things that you actually know aren't true, or you suspect they're not true, but you believe in them just because everybody else is doing it. So that becomes a big problem. So this false consensus of the 8th sphere. Now, if we can keep our logical faculties intact, we can use the A-sphere for what it is good for. We can use our logic, we can form beliefs, but we recognize that this is not the final destination. This is just another faculty that we want to open up, and then we want to keep moving on. And we'll be able to come back to this whenever we want to, but we don't stop here. A lot of people just stop when they get here and feel like, oh, I've arrived. But if we keep moving, we go over to the seventh sphere, where the eighth sphere is about the real world, so-called. The seventh sphere is the imaginary world. So this is the world that we imagine the eighth sphere being. We recognize all the, or many of the fallacies and problems of the eighth sphere, and we come over here and we imagine something better. We visualize some way that this would be improved. And so the imagination is a major faculty here at the seventh sphere. Also, we use our inspiration. We've seen other people do similar or the same thing, and they inspire us to act. We also have our intuition, which is really stems from our curiosity. We're curious about what could we do to make this better? How would this improve? And we go inside. We ask inside in our heart how we feel about this. And we find that we get correct answers from our intuition, from going inside. We will be able to figure these things out. Now, our ability to translate our intuition can sometimes be faulty. The answer is there, but sometimes we mistranslate it, and so we have to be able to verify our intuitions by, putting it through various tests. And then we also have our creative faculty here, our spiritual, the spark of spirituality, creative faculty, conscience, and also our pleasure principle, our ability to put things into pleasing arrangements for people. So new and pleasing arrangements, and also our conscience being able to discern right from wrong and good from evil by going inside. So that's really how the seventh sphere goes. And then using all these things, hopefully we can come up with a creative product or an invention that will serve as an alternative to some aspect of the eighth sphere. Then finally, at the top of the seventh sphere, we form our creative mission, which is who we are. We go inside and we figure out who we are. What are we here for? What are our particular skills and abilities, and our affinities? What do we really want to do? We all came here for a reason. Now, the eighth sphere gives you more of a cookie cutter version of that. I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a cop. But here I want to be the very best version of myself, of me. And however that plays out is, how it plays out. And so that kind of gets us propelled on this path, spiritual path toward a higher, kind of higher calling. And we go to the first to the sixth sphere, which is our free will faculty. And our free will is really our ability to pay attention and our ability to make decisions. And what we find is that we spend most of our time paying attention to the lower part of the tree. And so because this is our comfort zone, we're accustomed to this, it's comfortable for us to pay attention to this. But we also, in our free will, is our ability to make decisions. So we can decide to, turn our attention up the tree instead of down the tree. And this is the crucial move that we have to do, is to be able to ignore these areas, avert our attention, and point it really at the next higher sphere. It requires courage, not only to overcome your kind of addiction to these areas, but also to face the unknown, because these higher faculties of ours are generally not well known, not real comfort, not comforting like these. So When we point to the fifth sphere, our fifth sphere is our sense of justice. And really, that's kind of like the enforcement of the natural law and natural order of things. You can also call it karma. Karma, you can think of it as a mirror here at the fifth sphere. You know, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. As you sow, so shall you reap. What comes around goes around. So we act, when we act, we set up a reaction. Karma is the reaction. And karma bases itself upon violence, waste, and violation. And so if we act in a wasteful manner, we get a return action that is also wasteful. Now, if we do this repeatedly, you know, it's not optimal because we don't want to get, you know, wasteful actions in return. But if we're paying attention, then we can recognize that, you know, the cause and effect relationship here. We can recognize that, you know, if I clean up my own action, if I make my own action less wasteful or less violent, I will thereby be able to get a less violent result to myself. So this is how we can use our karma as our teacher to kind of clean up our actions, clean up our behavior, and reduce our karma. We also can pay attention to the fourth sphere. And when we do that, where the fifth sphere is about the enforcement of the natural law and order, the fourth sphere is about the articulation of the natural law and order. And so we can tune in to cosmologies and ancient holy books and theories of everything that purport to talk about how everything all fits together. Where is God? What are we? What's our relationship with God? What are we doing here? What's the purpose of it all? And all of these fundamental questions, along with the laws of science and physics and you know, chemistry, these things all are encompassed in the fourth sphere. And they are, every civilization really has a cosmology, but some are better than others, and some are different, you know. And so what we need to do again is to use our intuition and really study as many of these as we can, you know, become familiar with as many of these as we can, and then be able to kind of integrate them or synthesize them or syncretize them into a whole, along with our own experiences that make sense to ourselves. So we go inside and we ask these questions, but we won't be able to get good answers for these questions unless we've really done the homework. First of all, at the seventh sphere, our intuition works on a simple level in order to come up with answers to questions, and we don't have to really do the homework. But here, you have to have a great deal of background knowledge before you can start making leaps with your intuition. Okay, now we can also address our attention or point our attention here at the abyss. And the abyss is really our psychic powers. It stems from an omen or a synchronicity or a coincidence, an uncanniness, a deja vu, something that is unexpected and that seems to defy the laws of probability. And this is an omen, and this is a message to us that we should notice this thing and that it's something important. Okay, so that is the first part of psychic powers, is our psychic receptivity, being able to tune in to and recognize omens. And then the second part is our psychic heat, which is our ability to act upon the omen. And that ability is dependent upon the omen really gives us a course of action in addition to the coincidence. And the course of action, so we know kind of what we're supposed to do, but it requires a lot of courage in order to summon up the courage to do it, because it makes us very vulnerable, causes us to put ourselves out there, and other people might not really be able to understand what it is that we're doing. So we have to have courage to be able to exercise that psychic heat, which is the second part of the psychic powers. Okay, then at the top of the tree, we have 3, 2, and 1, which are our divine faculties within. This is omnipotence, all-powerful, omniscience, all-knowing, and omnipresence, all-present, all at once, eternally. The third sphere, omnipotence, has a lot to do with being able to, the fulfillment of our secret mission or our higher calling. This is our being able to really fulfill that, all the different steps that takes. And we tap into this through sound and sound synchronization, especially through mantra, things like shamanic drumming, whirling dervishes, or ecstatic dance, and also sacred music, whether playing or listening to sacred music, and being able to, this allows us to untap our potential, basically, especially with the mantra. Each different mantra opens up, or each specified mantra opens up a different sphere of the tree. So we can, if we feel like we're having blockages in our fourth sphere, we can do a chant to the fourth sphere and hopefully, unblock it. So we can fine tune our situation and use, prescribe the particular mantra that we need in order to gain the powers that we need. So that's really kind of omnipotence. Omniscience, all-knowing, or wisdom. This is our ability to solve problems. And this is our ability to solve other people's problems, and our ability to even avoid problems that before they arise. We tap into this through really deep meditation, being able to shut off our thoughts, to clear our mind. At the eighth sphere, we solve problems by thinking. And when we do that, there's a head of the Hydra problem. Every problem that we solve seems to create 2 more problems that we didn't foresee. But here, when we solve a problem through not thinking, through being able to avoid the content of our minds, we're going to have thoughts, but we don't have to follow up on those thoughts with another thought and another thought, if then, or what if, and speculations that we go into with our thought drift. If we can stay off that, we can calm our mind to the point that we can see through the mind and clear our mind and be able to see the image of the first sphere. And when we are able to do that will, the image of the first sphere of the Creator will give us the solution to our problems. Okay, then at the first sphere, not only are we able to see through the mind and see to our center, our core, but we're actually able to be that and to merge with our core at the center. And so when we do that, we experience a unification, because we experience that what's at our deepest center is the same thing that's what's at everybody else's deepest center. So that is a unification, and that allows us to, really see everything as one. And then the 0 that's above the tree is really like the mystery or nothingness of the universe. It also represents inner peace, but it is being able to see that the 0 is not part of the universe, and that it is part of the Creator. So it's part of the Creator that's not part of the universe. So we have indirect access to it. But it is not direct, because this isn't even in our universe. Okay, now that is really the beginning aspect of the tree. And again, I've elaborated that into, the 12 categories of each one of the 12 for a total of 144 If you like that guide that I've compiled for those 144 different fractal faculties, just click the link in the description and I'll send that to you for free. That will also help you to be able to follow along as we go through these various different minor aspects or fractal faculties, the 144. Today we're looking at number 14. And as you can see, number 14 is really the 9th sphere. So that is about, heightened receptivity, learning, and being blindly following. And then we are talking about the 9th fractal of the 9th sphere. So this is really kind of the essence of the 9th sphere. It's the 9th fractal of the 9th sphere. It's called mediumistic trance. Stage number 14 is about mediumistic trance, how it is indiscriminate and how it is vulnerable to capture. In our earliest years, we learn by following our elders, our caregivers, those who speak to us, those who feed us, clothe us, and clean us up. We watch what they do, and then we imitate what they do over and over until we get it right. But is it right or is it wrong? The thought never occurs to us because we are just a baby, born again, born yesterday. We are wide open, innocent, and indiscriminate. Catch us now while we're young, sheltered, and blindly loyal, devotionally oriented, soaking it up like a sponge, and practice till perfect. Mediumistic trance as a receptivity vector, a direction, a target for us to follow, for us to mimic, based on devotion, not on discernment. Mistakes are rarely reversed, rarely even discovered in our own lifetimes. We are ripe for the picking, ripe for abuse. So even in our safe spaces, the powers that be will invade and take advantage of our blindly loyal devotion, our sheltered nature, our domestication. There is a hidden hand that invades our own shelter and stands in for mother. The electronic babysitter, which constitutes soft mind control with a K. Real humans or talking machines. Either way, we soak it up like a sponge. The receptivity is indiscriminate. The heavy hand of smothering, the hidden hand of mothering. The powers that be, bent on mind control, will make us a sleeper cell with a honeycombed personality just awaiting a trigger so that we will blindly commit atrocities for them in theta. When we finally learn to walk, learn to talk, learn to ride a bike, we get a sense of victory for the accomplishment. But in the long run, our devotion, our receptivity can become a pyrrhic victory, an empiric failure, and a vampiric bite. But at this stage, it is a step toward success for us as we learn new things effectively. Hopefully, we will eventually learn to discern. All right, that is number 14, the 9th fractal of the 9th sphere, mediumistic trance. And we will talk about all these in future videos, but this is just kind of an introduction to each one of the fractals, each one of the minor aspects Thank you for sticking around to the end of the video. I appreciate that. I would also appreciate it if you hit the like button. You can subscribe to the channel. You can share the video with others. Make a constructive comment in the comment section. Also in the comment section, you can find my Venmo and Cash App in case you'd like to donate to further research. And I will be presenting another video just like this one, but a different minor aspect tomorrow. So stay tuned. And in the meantime, have a beautiful day.